The voice of Sherry. Durian ASEAN.
Hi, you're back with Gowri. This morning we're on the ASEAN breakfast call. So human rights has been quite a hot topic these days following the remark of our Prime Minister who said that human rights is actually a threat to Islam. And it caused quite a stir, and everyone's been discussing it a lot these days. So what do you guys think? Is Islam really a threat to human rights? You can share it with us on our Twitter page. Just hashtag DurianASEANABC, and I'll be retweeting some later. So let us know what you think about that. And don't forget to like us on Facebook. And if you want to tune in to us and you don't have your computer with you, you can always download our TuneIn app on your smartphone and search for Durian ASEAN. So today here with me, I have a journalist from FZ.com, Zakiah Koya. And she's been a journalist for 18 years. And she's here to clarify a little bit about is Islam really a threat to human rights? So, hi Zakiah, how are you doing today?
Hi, good. I'm doing good today. And how are you?
I'm good. So, how's your day been?
It just started.
Okay.
Okay.
So I was thinking maybe we could start with a brief introduction to human rights. So you want to give us a little...
Well, thank you for having me here. It depends on what kind of human rights we're talking about, because at the moment the world has the human rights, the Western human rights and the Islamic human rights.
Okay.
And, the problem is there's this confusion, which is which. And the thing is, at this point of time, most of us only know of the Western human rights. And the West has been claiming that they are the first ones to chart down human rights in Magna Carta, but in Britain, and that came about 600 years after Islam.
Okay.
Islam was 1,400 years ago, but the thing is, it's only after the until the 17th century that people actually started studying the Magna Carta and realizing that there is this, what they call trial by jury, habeas corpus, control of parliament, the right of taxation. So, but the people who charted that, they did not know that this document also had this. And for the Islamic human rights, Islam came with human rights.
Okay.
It freed people. It gave us the right to live. It gave us the right to be free. It gave us. So, in Islam, when we say human rights, it is what is ordained by God. That means what we've been born with, what been granted by God, not by any legislative assembly or by a king. So there's no way anybody can take away that. So, and these are not rights that are conferred upon human beings.
Okay.
These are rights given by God. So Islam actually had these human rights long before the West came up with it. So it depends on what exactly we're talking about. Is it Islamic human rights or the Western human rights?
Okay, maybe you can tell us more about the Islamic human rights. Is it mentioned in the Quran? What does it say about it?
Yeah. Well, first of all, when Islam came, the first thing it did was it equalized all of us.
Okay.
Everybody was an equal. And then there was everybody in the Quran, it said everybody is born equal. So, the fact is, you're judged by what you do. It's not whether you're a king or you're a rakyat or you're a politician or you're appointed. It's just that you're equal. If a ruler does something wrong, then he is to be judged as well by the same law. And then there's the right to life, the right to live, the right to life is you are supposed to respect life. You cannot
Okay.
kill. You cannot kill yourself. You cannot kill others. And then you have these what they call the basic human rights is the right to safety of life, respect for the chastity of women, the right to a basic standard of life, individuals' right to freedom, the right to be free, because when Islam came, it got rid of slavery, not all straight away, but in bits and pieces. And then the right to justice, that's one of the major, what they call human rights in Islam.
Okay.
And then, of course, the rights of citizens in the state. So those are basic human rights in Islam.
How different are these from the Western human rights?
Well, for Muslims, I mean, I'm speaking not as an expert on Islam.
Okay.
I'm speaking as a Muslim layperson. From what I understand is that human rights for us, we believe that we are granted with it.
Okay.
It came. It's ordained by God. That means there's no way anyone can take it away.
All right.
But the choices, to ask for a choice, whether you want to be gay or you want to be straight, those are choices. Those are not rights, as far as I'm concerned. So, this is the difference, because at the
Okay.
moment the West is shouting, you have, it's human, everything is a right.
Okay.
For the West, everything is a right. You want to take your clothes off in the street, that's your right. If you want to be, live with the same sex and have children, that's your right. But no, not that. The right to be, in Islam is, when you have the rights, is also the rights of the society.
Okay.
The rights to respect yourself, the rights
Right.
to respect the society also.
So it's not very individualistic.
No. Islam it works. From what I understand is that the main thing about Islam is you are supposed to live in a community. You
Okay.
you're never alone.
So what about human rights that could possibly be seen as a threat to Islam?
Well, the thing is, I think a lot of people got it wrong. I think when Dato Sri Najib said that, he was talking about human rightism.
Okay.
And I think that's different from human rights.
All right.
So humans, most probably he did not, put it in the right words. Most probably he was referring to the Western so-called human rights of, gay, pro-abortion, and those kind of things. So, but the way he said it, when he must have read it just like that. So a lot of people jumped on and said, "Oh, he is saying that Islam is against human rights. It's a threat. Human rights is a threat to Islam." And anybody who understands Islam, who has studied Islam, who even knows the basic tenets of Islam, will know that. I mean, I'm a journalist, and I write a lot of on issues of human issues. So, the basic tenets of Islam teaches that every human is free.
Okay.
Every human has a right to live, has a right to life. So there's the very fact that it's a religion, which is a way of life, the very fact that it has all these values, there is no way, if it is the human rights that we are talking about, the basic human rights, the God-given human rights, there's no way that it can be a threat to Islam. In fact, when you say Islam, you talk about mercy, you talk about compassion. So straight away you are saying, you have to be merciful to your brother, your sister, and in Islam, everybody is a brother and a sister. So that in that way, human rights is Islam.
Okay.
Humanity is Islam. So that I don't think there is such a thing as a threat to Islam in any way.
Okay, so do you think in Malaysia we practice more of the Islam rights, or do you think we are very influenced by the Western idea of human rights?
Actually, Malaysians are pretty confused.
Okay.
Pretty confused. The media has had a role to play in it, and it's just like the rest of the world also. A lot of people, young people nowadays, they don't read. So when you say human rights, automatically the media has played up on the gay rights and the rights to be free completely from any attachment to society. It doesn't matter what you do; it's your right. So the people, I think Malaysians, especially the young people, they're pretty confused. Well, what exactly is a human right? So they are just going with the flow. So what the media has been playing up, they take that, and I suggest many of them to read about what Abul Allah Maududi. Maududi is a very famous Muslim old writer, and he actually talked about human rights in Islam, and he puts it into the context of community. And when we say Islam and human rights, it's also the human rights of the non-Muslims living in that community. It's not only the Muslims per se.
Okay, because I actually read one news that said that pretty much like what you said just now when Datuk Seri Najib said that human rights is a threat to Islam, or the other way around. He said that we don't need human rights because Islam itself is good enough for everybody because it protects everyone.
Yes, I think his message is. I just think he did not say it clearly.
Oh, right.
He was not, explaining it. We could grill him and ask him, what do you mean by human rightism? And he used the word human rightism. So I think what he was, and he was also playing to a crowd.
Okay.
It was a complete Malay crowd that was there. It was a national Quran recital, I think. Quran recital competition. So I think he was also, playing to a crowd, being the UMNO president and all.
Okay.
So and at the moment, Malaysia's charged with all this, what they call religious issues, taking sides and all. So I think he was just not being clear enough.
All right.
That's my point.
Okay. So what about people who are the non-Muslims in Malaysia? How do you think they feel about that statement?
Well, I think a lot of the sane ones would have just passed it off as a political statement rather than a statement, because first of all, we know Datuk Seri Najib is not an expert on Islam, and he's just a prime minister, and to make such a statement without clarifying, I think it's nothing much. There's nothing much to shout about. There's nothing much to dissect. So, and at the moment, Malaysians are jumping onto everything.
Okay.
Every statement that any politician makes, it's becoming, taken out of context. And you have Isma and Perkasa, those extremists, saying anything gets aired, anything gets published. So I think that the sane ones know that, that Najib was just playing to a crowd. And it's just most probably, I think that the speech has been written for him. I don't even think he knows that he said that. So he's getting the flag for it. But I think Malaysians, as the ones who are, actually not only getting the information from Facebook, Twitter, who are actually reading about human rights. They know that no matter what Najib said, there's no way Islam can be a threat to human rights. And as we can see, all religions are for human rights. There's no religion that's not for human rights, more so Islam.
Okay, so do you think that human rights can coexist with Islam, the Western human rights?
Well, the Western human rights, most of them are taken from Islam.
Okay.
As I said earlier,
Uh-huh.
Magna Carta came after Islam, 600
Right.
years after
So
Islam.
it's actually derived
yeah.
from.
So, yeah. I mean, human rights came with religion.
All right.
Okay, from the start, from the beginning, human rights came with religion. So it's only Western, the West popularized it and named it as human rights.
Right.
And so this term came to be taken on. And then, and then some bandwagons jumped on stuff and say, look, I also must have my right. It's my right to be, kill myself. It's my right. So those people deviated from the human right, which ensures the oneness of the community. Because in Islam, and any religion for that matter, when you respect human rights, you also respect the community. It's you respect yourself, you respect your family, you respect the community. That's that's what human rights is. So you have the freedom to express, but you don't have the freedom to hurt. You have you have to give your wife the freedom to because she's a free woman. You have to give your wife the freedom, but she does not have the freedom to go and have relationship with other men.
Right.
You have the freedom to to express and take upon maybe tyrannical rulers. You have that freedom, but you have to do it in the right way. You can't go and kill
within certain boundaries.
Within the guidelines.
Right.
So that's the respect for humanity and the respect for the community. So with human rights in Islam comes, like me, for example, I mean, I can tell you, as a journalist, I have the right to question. I have the right to question, but I have to respect you.
Right.
I can't shout at you and scream at you and to get you an answer. No, but I have to respect you. And I cannot, I have the right to question, but does not mean, let's say, I can come and barge into your house without knocking the door and ask you these questions.
Right.
No. So that's and for example, someone has done something wrong. You have no right to shame the family.
Okay.
So these are human rights, and the main thing is justice. Justice also in Islam, justice is very important. The right to justice. Every person. I mean, I'm talking about this because a lot of people are going on and on about the hudud.
Yeah.
Islamic
It's
law.
another hot topic now.
So, well, under the hudud, the real hudud, as mentioned during the the Prophet's time, every person, well, no matter if he's guilty or not, has a right to trial. Has a right to trial. So that is right to justice. So, people say, oh, this does not respect human rights. You're going to cut off your hand. You're going to be stoned. You're going to be... No. There's so much of human rights in the real hudud. So that's why, like I said, one has to study Islam, the essence of Islam, compassion, mercy, before one says that Islam is a threat against human rights.
Okay, we'll be taking a short break now. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in less than 5 minutes. Stay tuned.
Voice of sharing. Durian ASEAN.
Okay, welcome back to our ABC ASEAN Breakfast Call session. We're still with Zakiah. So earlier you said that religion, human rights comes with religion. So do you think that a person without religion, how would they go about exercising human rights?
Well, for me, religion is a personal thing between an individual and a God. And there's no way I would judge someone as being without a religion or with a religion. It's your personal space. And that is what Islam teaches us. You can be a Muslim in the heart and, you have a Christian name or you're not covered. that is between you and God. So
Okay.
I am not one to judge whether a person is with religion or without a religion. So I wouldn't go into that. But
Okay.
I think any sane person with the right mind, who's mature enough, will respect the basic human rights.
Okay. So, since I think human rights and religion, they're both promoting
They coexist. They come
peace,
together in a package.
right?
Yeah.
And they're both for peace. They're both for equality and
Yes.
all. So how is it that people think that that Islam?
Well, you see, the thing is, most religions, it's not only Islam that's having the problem.
Okay.
The religion is one thing, the followers are another. So don't judge the religion by its followers. Don't judge Islam by the Muslims.
Okay.
I think that's something that's happening all over the world. And Islamophobia has put Islam in the spotlight, Muslims in the spotlight. So that's why we tend to hear this more in the media. So, but I think that those who think that Islam is not for human rights should go back to the Quran, should go back to the Hadith, and read and find out.
Okay.
What exactly did Islam constitute? What exactly does Islam say about human rights before they come up with the statement that Islam is against human rights or human rights goes against the norm of Islam? Human rights is Islam. As far as I'm concerned, human rights is Islam. Human rights, I mean, freedom, equality, justice, freedom for women. For example, freedom for women came with Islam. Before that, the women were the slaves.
Right.
Came with Islam. Women got the right to speak, to talk, to trade. I mean, the Prophet married a businesswoman.
Right.
And you have all this, but in many Muslim countries, the women are not allowed to do these things.
Exactly.
So don't judge Islam by Muslims, So, like I said, it comes together. There's no way you can separate human rights and Islam. It comes together. And if you read a lot of these stories about converts to Islam, they tell you the first thing that attracted them to Islam was this human rights, the values, the right to justice, the right to talk to God as an equal. You don't have to go through a mediator. The right to the right to respect yourself. I mean, a father has to treat his children all the same. A daughter has to have an education. A son has to have an education. There's no difference. And in Quran, everything is man and women. Oh, man and women. There's nothing that says males.
Okay.
Everything. So those are the ones that attract a lot of them to convert.
All right.
So when you see that, for me as a born Muslim, that's something that's I tend to take for granted. But for these people who study the religion, study the books, study the text, and study the sacred text of Quran, which has not changed for the past 1,400 years ago, they understand that human rights comes with Islam.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you look at countries like Afghanistan and all, they're depriving women from education,
exactly
from
like
their
I
rights
said.
and all.
Yeah.
So what do you think is their problem? Like, do they not
Like
know
I
what
said,
Islam
this
really
is this is not Islam. This is patriarchal
Okay.
mentality. You have the Boko Haram. You have Pakistan. You have places, Saudi Arabia. But these are all patriarchal mentality.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with Islam. It comes with the time before Islam. So they have sort of regressed, and it's it's become and they go on the name of Islam. as usual, it's always easy to assert your right with using the name of the religion. So, as a journalist, I think that, before the media says these things and promotes these things, they should do a lot of research.
Okay.
And not paint everybody with the same thing. And also, I mean, we have a lot of people in the, sheep in the wolf in the sheep's clothing. So we have to be, the media has to go back to its role and to, expose these people, which unfortunately we are not doing.
Okay. So do you think that these people, all these patriarchal people, do you think that they know what Islam really is about and they're just being ignorant, or they are just misled?
Well, the problem with Islam is, I think, as a Muslim layperson, I would say that at the moment we have a lot of half-baked ulamas. We have people who has just maybe read the Quran once and not studied or memorized it once, but not studied the other sacred texts.
Okay.
So and they go around and because the rest of the Muslims don't read, they tend to take these people as the experts. So that is the problem. That is the problem we face. It's just like the media. We tend to just follow. We tend to just follow without checking our facts. And that is something that, is funny because as a journalist, you are supposed to check the facts.
Okay.
But many of us don't. And many of us in Malaysia also, the journalists also, they tend to follow the Western journalism and just go with the flow. It's easier. It's much easier rather than going to the libraries to check, to read or anything. And, well, at this point of time, most of us get our information from the Facebook. So someone says something, then we just take it at the, at the face value. So this, like for example, going back to the hudud that PAS wanted to bring to the parliament, they did not check. They did not speak to many of the PAS people. Everybody just went haywire, jumping onto the everybody jumped onto the ship and said, "Look, hudud is about cutting hands." But you did not study. You did not find out whether what they wanted was for the one that Afghanistan has, Nigeria has, So that is the problem. I mean, we have to study. We have to go back and do some research before we just jump on the bandwagon. Just like, I mean, now everybody is jumping up because Najib said human rights is a threat against Islam. But, I mean, go look at his speech properly. He said human rightism.
Okay.
And I don't think he even knows what it meant. So, the best is to get him and ask him what he meant. Yeah, clarify. Because politicians makes all kinds of remarks. That is their job.
Playing to the crowd, like you said.
Yeah, playing to the crowd. Furthermore, we must understand that he has to appease many of the Malays in UMNO. And as we know, many of the Malays in UMNO are also not well versed in Islam. So he's just playing to the crowd, I guess.
Because Malaysia has actually been participating in all these UN meetings about human rights and all. So why would people not consider that and just take this as it is and jump into the bandwagon?
Well, a lot of us are ignorant of what's going on. I don't think a lot of us know that Malaysia participates in these things. And a lot of us don't know that Malaysia has not signed many of the declarations. We have even the what do you call, children's UN declaration. We only endorsed some. We took out some. Women's declaration, we also endorsed some, took out some. So, I think a lot of people don't know what's going on. But at the same time, it has to be applauded that we have come far.
Mm-hmm.
We have come very far. We just have to pick up the speed. We're still very slow. We just have to pick up the speed and, talk about forcing Malaysia's human rights to be, if you claim to be a Muslim nation, you have to show that you are adhering to Islam. That is what I think Malaysia is not doing.
Mm-hmm.
So UN human rights, yes, it is, but even UN, I mean, talk about UN. UN has not done anything. They claim they have this human rights charter and this, but there's millions of Muslims being killed in India, Kashmir, and UN
Even
has not
in
done
Myanmar
anything.
as well.
Myanmar, Rohingyas, for that matter, ethnic cleansing, Bosnia. It took time for UN to come in.
Mm-hmm.
Somalia, what's happening? The basic right to food is still not there. Ethiopia, how long did it take?
Right.
They're still suffering.
Mm-hmm.
African countries, and what about human rights in Saudi Arabia, where women are not even allowed to drive when they own half of the the property.
Mm-hmm.
So UN is also a big culprit in not upholding their own human rights charters.
Okay. Do you think advocating these Western human rights could be a threat to Islam in a way? To look at it from the other way?
I don't think there is a difference in the Western and the Islam's human rights, but
as in them being more individualistic and all that.
When it's individualistic, I think that is not a right anymore. When you have to ask for it, it's a choice. And you have to ask for, look, let me be a gay. That is your choice.
Okay.
That is not a right. That is not given onto you.
Mm-hmm.
You have no, that is not your right. If let's say, same, having intermarriages in family, I mean immediate family, you can say I have the right to choose anyone. No, it's not. It's against the law of the community. So as long as it goes against humanity and the community, it is not a right.
Okay.
It is not a human right. So the West has just named some of the things human rights, but I think they are wrong in that. And I would say Islam's human rights is just as Christianity's human rights, the Buddha's human rights, and all religions' human rights is very much what Islam's human rights is.
What about like single mothers maybe who they think that they should be given something because it's probably not their choice to live that way, to be a single mother.
That is the right of the community.
Okay.
That is the right of the community to take care of single mothers. There is no human right in that, in the sense that the right to live, the right to life, that is Islam's, that is what Islam is talking about. So they don't have to ask for that. That is their right. They don't have to go and say, look, can I live? I don't have enough. That's what, when you talk about, a lot of people have this idea that Islam is very, narrow-minded, and single mothers are being cast aside, and people, orphans are being cast aside. That's not it. In Islam, it is the right of every human, whether you're a single mother, you're a married mother, or a orphan or not, it's the same. They don't have to ask for it. They don't have to ask for anything.
Okay, I think that's all the questions that I have. Is there anything else that you'd like to add to it?
Well, I think the media has a role to play to ensure that human rights, as what is stated, that as we are born with, what has been given by God, is upheld, and to expose the transgressions of human rights all over the world, not only in Malaysia. And I think we should, the main thing is we should uphold the basic human rights, the right to live, the right to life, the right to justice, the right to equality. So that is something the media has to take a lead in Malaysia, to uphold the human right for everyone, not just for some people.
Okay, thank you very much. That was Zakiah from FZ. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. We'll be back tomorrow at 8 o'clock for more ASEAN news, so don't forget to stay tuned.